Considering the beams are not too bad at this exact moment, I think we might be okay to make another video. Indeed, while I've been sitting in the street, being thoroughly gaslighted by the population of Warminster, this creepy little garrison town I seem to be residing at the moment, I was thinking about a few things. Indeed, I was thinking about Benjamin Coleman, a paranoid schizophrenic legend who committed arson on 3 Masonic temples in Vancouver. And he said that he believed that Freemasonry was a branch of Judaism, which is an interesting thing to analyze. I don't think it's as simple as that. Indeed, a lot of Freemasonry, although there is a lot of Hebrew mysticism in it, there's a lot more Babylonian Druidry, kind of Aryan mysticism to it. But there are certainly aspects. Indeed, there are also ancient Egyptian aspects to it, and Phoenician aspects to it, and various interconnecting ideas that have all gone into Royal Arch Freemasonry, basically. Indeed, I was thinking of how this relates to the Anglo-German cryptocracy. And as I've explained in previous videos, in the early 1700s, there was an enormous synthesis between the Royal Arch Freemasons, therefore the Grand Lodge of England, and the one in Scotland, and also the Ancient Order of Druids. It's all very interesting to consider my theories on the Druidic aspects behind the Anglo-German cryptocracy. And there was also a huge synthesis of the Royal Arch Freemasons and Ancient Order of Druids with the Hellfire Clubs. Indeed, it seems that they were all interconnecting and all shared Grand Masters and Grand Druids and Arch Initiates. And there seems to have been a similar synthesis in Germany towards the end of the 1700s. Indeed, with the Frankists, with their court at Offenbach, the court of Jacob Frank at Offenbach. So we have the Frankists, the Asiatic Brethren, who were relative to German Freemasonry, and also the Bavarian Illuminati, who, as I've discussed, were a British intelligence front, but they were heavily interconnected with the networks aforementioned. So it's interesting to consider all of this. Very interesting indeed. Indeed, these networks basically had a lot of underpinnings to the global technocracy, basically. Indeed, the Frankists form a major part of the technocracy that is basically being established at the moment via police state mechanisms and corporate rule. So it's interesting to consider the amount of Frankists that are in corporate holding positions and banking. That's all very interesting, and it's very interesting to note that the Asiatic Brethren were the first network of Masonic degrees to openly accept Hebrew. So it's all very interesting to consider. And I've also theorized that the British intelligence services are percentage run by the Asiatic Brethren. So it's all very interesting to consider that this German Masonic order has a large amount of influence among British intelligence, and this directly interconnects with my theories on the penetration of the British intelligence services by the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. I've theorized that the Crown were coordinating the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst, but I guess there are other ways that this needs to be looked at. Indeed, you have to consider the fact that the Asiatic Brethren have a large Sabbatean percentage within their networks. And as I've been theorizing this morning, it seems that the Sabbateans run the Crown. So perhaps we are returning to a theory of a network with a headquarters in Germany, i.e. we're back to the Mad Housekeepers Guild theories and the networks of German psychiatrists that were so influential in the building of the technocracy that is being built up now in the United Kingdom. The technocracy which has very vast psychocratic elements and the establishment of a psychocratic structure which is run by the British intelligence services, which are themselves run by Asiatic Brethren networks. So it is interesting how this all interlinks with certain individuals within German Masonic orders in the 1700s who happen to have been psychiatrists, which is a really interesting concept to explore, really. Indeed, as I stated before, Weishaupt was positioned as the front man of the Bavarian Illuminati so that everybody would interconnect all the networks and blame everything on the Hebrews. Indeed, this is very interesting intelligence machinations because the people actually running the show are of certain Hebrew parentage, though they are Sabbateans. So it's all very interesting. It's a very, very complex intelligence deception, everything is really. It's interesting to keep considering the fact that I was stating that the Anglo-German cryptocracy were positioning Hebrews at the forefront of organization. This is true, but the Anglo-German cryptocracy are subordinate to networks of Kabbalists. So it's very interesting to consider the Sabbatean networks that actually lurk behind the mask. So what exactly is the all-seeing eye at the top of the pyramid? That is the pineal gland. And how does this relate to Sabbateanism? Through the Kabbalah, basically. And this directly interconnects us with the Babylonian mystery schools. So it's all very interesting to consider, and it's driving me absolutely crazy. Indeed, I believe that Defense Intelligence, who operates satanic cults out of Warminster military base, coordinated by a guy called Anthony Graham, who is interestingly, a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operative. It's interesting to consider that this guy, Anthony Graham, operating out of Warminster military base, is a Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst operative, which means my theories on the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst were not null and void at all. Indeed, they operate the majority of the satanic cults in the West Country, the Deutsche Verteidigungsdienst. Indeed, it's all very interesting to consider. I believe that Defense Intelligence would like me to go crazy and attack the Masonic Hall in Warminster in a physical capacity. However, this is not going to happen. Indeed, I believe that Defense Intelligence operating out of Warminster military base are seriously hoping that I simply go crazy. This is the thing, I am already crazy. I have already gone crazy. I should probably have a diagnosis of clinical insanity. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed. There are so many networks in Warminster who want me to go mad and do something crazy. I believe this is why a lot of the gaslighting is occurring. They want me to go mad and do something absolutely crazy, so they can get rid of me, basically. So what is it in Warminster that the Defence Intelligence Services and large percentages of the population do not want me to expose? Indeed, I believe it is connected to satanic rituals at Warminster military base, performed under the cover of darkness, involving Satanists who worship Baal, and they are basically raping innocents in the catacombs beneath Warminster military base. Indeed, it's interesting to note that the army i.e. the military intelligence capacity within the army, functions as a mind control network, well, basically mind controlling the British Army to behave in certain ways abroad, which is all very interesting. Indeed, the military intelligence services are run by Satanists. This is well known to conspiracy researchers that the military intelligence services, including Defence Intelligence of Britain, are run by Satanists. So it's very interesting to note the satanic ritual abuse that is taking place in this region. And a lot of it is interconnected with the Defence Intelligence Network of Satanists, coordinated by a guy called Anthony Graham, operating out of Warminster military base. Indeed, many of the children around here have screen memories, and therefore can't remember being taken at night time to Warminster military base and abused by Satanist networks within Warminster and the military intelligence setup, basically. Indeed, it's all really quite a dark and disturbing tale, what is going on in Warminster. As I stated, many of the children have screen memories. Indeed, many of the parents of these children around Warminster are interconnected with several satanic covens and networks of warlocks and witches, etc., who take their children to the Warminster military base and abuse them in the night time, and then hypno-program them with screen memories, so they're not aware what went on. Though through several series of flashbacks and bad dreams, they begin to realize that something is not quite right about Warminster. It's very interesting to consider something is seriously rotten in Warminster. The way that the population are looking at me is really beginning to annoy me. I'm not going to explode in the street because I'm being gaslighted by a load of perverts. However, I will talk about them online. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that the British military is run by corrupt networks of satanic perverts operating out of various military bases in the countryside that are interconnected with Masonic lodges, covens, and aristocratic manor houses. Indeed, in the dungeons of aristocratic manor houses in Wiltshire and all over the country, there are huge numbers of trafficked children from various conflict zones across the globe. And a lot of this trafficking is actually conducted by the British military. It's interesting, the army themselves are under pressure to conform and are under a degree of mind control programming by their officers and networks of satanic mind control programmers via the MI6 Mindgate program, which itself has roots in defense intelligence. Indeed, a lot of the MI6 mind control programming structure was actually set up by defense intelligence because defense intelligence were paranoid about Soviet mind control techniques. That the Soviet Union during the Cold War would develop better mind control techniques than the British military, basically. So the defense intelligence began the Mindgate programs, which were taken over by MI6 in certain capacities, but really did remain the domain of military intelligence, i.e. defense intelligence. Indeed, it's interesting to consider that. Indeed, defense intelligence knew I would start talking about this topic, so I'm expecting to be in danger in the coming hours. However, I believe I may be all right walking around Warminster. So it's all very interesting to consider the fact that I know everything I need to know already about the Warminster military base and the military intelligence capacity at Warminster military base. I know that the British military intelligence services are run by networks of satanic mind control programmers, druids, and warlocks. I also know that by being around Salisbury Plain, I am in druid country. So I'm sure there are a lot of people fetishizing about ritually sacrificing me and then reading my entrails. And there are probably also people fixated on the possibility of having sex with my spleen, but this is just the way it is. I know I am in a funny position indeed. I am a religious lunatic. I cannot stand these druids. I cannot stand these necromancers. And I cannot stand these perverts. So I have a strict moral code. This is the thing. So it's very interesting to consider the fact that the Defense Intelligence would like me to basically go crazy and blow up the Masonic Lodge, but this is not going to happen. I'm not going to make any physical attempts on anyone or anything. Also, that's not really my style. The only acts of violence that I perpetrated have been on my supposed parents, who aren't really my parents and are terrible people, involved with certain illicit networks of the British Empire. Other than that, my only physical assaults have been on police officers and police confidential informants. So you can see where I'm getting at here. I'm not going to attack anyone from Warminster Police Department. That would just be stupid. To be honest, I'm wondering what they're thinking of all of this. They're probably a bit confused, I think. So they can tell I'm not a bad human being, but they're being given loads of information from Devices Police about me and Defense Intelligence. Indeed, this is the thing. I've come up against Satanist networks, and they will do anything to protect their rings. And they will take revenge in horrible ways. I'm a Christian also, which means the Satanists really, really hate me. So it's all very interesting. Indeed, there's a guy in Cairn called Cass Lynch who is organising a network of Satanists to kill me down in Warminster for revealing that Cass Lynch once raped 17 children, mainly male, at a nursery in the northwest. So it's all very interesting to consider indeed. Now that I've started talking the truth about the satanic covens within Warminster military base, I'm wondering what will happen next. Indeed, there's all these networks of gang stalkers popped up. It was three weeks ago on the Saturday, and there were a few on the Friday as well. But they were really creepy. Made me a little bit confused, but I'm aware of what gang stalking is, and I'm pretty sure that's happened to me before also. While I was living in fish ponds, all these kind of creepy, perverted looking people giving me funny looks. It's not the looks they give you, it's like they're disappointed in you. The problem is, I haven't done anything wrong. So it's interesting. So there's all these creeps in the military base now, coordinated by this guy, Anthony Graham. I don't know whether he uses that name in his official capacity, but that's his name, Anthony Graham. He's a high-level druid and operates mind control programming networks in the Wiltshire countryside. Indeed, there's an awful lot of Wizard of Oz programming that goes on in Wiltshire, interestingly, and I was programmed at one point with Wizard of Oz, as well as Cat's Eyes, which makes me a very, very interesting runaway from a mind control experiment, basically, which I am. I'm a runaway from a mind control experiment. And I'm taking my revenge on the mind control programmers now. This is the thing. During my 20s, I was still being remotely and physically programmed by various networks. So it's all very interesting to consider that I've broken out of everything they tried to put me into. All of the matrices they tried to place me into, I've broken out of them, such as the Nazi fetishist programming they inculcated me with several times. I've broken out of that now. Also, the Nazi movement always hated me because they knew I was a Christian. So it's all very interesting to consider. Indeed, this is a little disturbing, really, everything that's going on. But I'm glad that we got to Warminster military base and the truth of the Satanic Covens within it. So I don't really care if the Crown and Empire idiots in Warminster are offended by what I'm saying. They need to know the truth. So I'm leaving it there.